Okay, I'll start with a couple of flashes for taking a peek like this, a real narrow peek. Really only looking at pit here. Not for swinging wide, we'll get to that stuff, but for now, come into the corner, move right a little bit, at least until I can see this downspout on that wall. And then I'm aiming at this spot right here. You can see what that is there. And I want not right on it, maybe a tiny bit below it. That'll be fine. You can always aim there, or I always aim just a little bit to the right. That way it's just more likely to be a little more perfect. So I can just aim like this, and that's perfect. Even if I'm wide like this, aim at the same spot. Maybe a little lower in that case, but it's still going to work fine. Yeah. And now another one that goes behind the barrel here. Just swing out wider until I can see at least the whole balcony. Then I aim right about here. You can aim a little higher or just anywhere in this area, but I always just aim right about there. And if you aim correctly, you never have to worry about your positioning at all, really. As long as you don't hit this wall in front of you, you're not going to miss if you aim properly. Like I could be way out here, still the same aim, still works. Do it nice and quick, don't worry about it. I'll just put the two of these together so we can look at them from the enemy perspective. If I could see the thing, there it is. So that's what we're trying to do here. And obviously that's going to help flash off this position to get me around that first corner. Same thing over here, but these things don't hit this stuff here, so that's why I'm just using it for a narrower peak and not a wide peak. If I want to do a wider peak, I'll do something like underhanded jump throw a flash like that. So it pops over top of the roof there, and I can swing out underneath it. It's not really good. Actually, this one does hit CT, or does hit pit here, but well, it's not going to really do much. Usually I use them when I got a smoke here at the side of the hay cart blocking off the pit. But these flashes would be good for anybody, watching where I'm going to. And I didn't show it from here, but you can throw that, one of those smokes from here, that side hay smoke, at this lightest colored section of the wall right here, right at the top left corner, or top right corner of that. And then here's a flash just meant for that, to be used with that smoke. Aiming at this little blue or gray circular area here, just right at the top middle of that is where I'm aiming. And just let one rip. And it's very safe for me. Can't really flash myself on it. And as you can see, it's meant for all this stuff on these angles here. And at the same time, it does pop low enough that it will go underneath that balcony, so we'll still flash all the stuff back here. But it does not flash anything in pit. That's why it's best used with that other smoke. You can do the same flash from up here, just aiming right here. Above this curved shadow on the pipe there, just to this next bit of darkness here, right at the bottom of that occlusion on the pipe there. Oop, flash. Same kind of flash. Doing the same kind of thing. Safe for me, but not for thee. Should be the same placement here, yeah. I guess it could probably be a touch lower, but that's fine. And let's see, here's a good one for our guys coming up balcony. And I want to slide along this wall here until I can see a little bit of this window. Then I crouch and I aim at the top right or top left corner of this window right here, and jump throw. So line up like that and jump throw. And it doesn't flash, guys, until they're where the CTs would be, like right here. And back, of course. And so anybody watching that balcony door where our guys are trying to waterfall out of, well, they're going to get flashed. Even here, like if he's here, flashed. You just show that from the different perspectives. So he's safe up until here, until you'd be right where the CTs would be here. And now even if he's looking low, yeah, he's still full flashed. And it hits all this stuff on the site, I mean out on the outside of the site anyway. Anything that can see that door. And what our guys see is not much trouble. I mean, obviously they can be fighting pit with that thing popping behind them. But they can even be fighting on the side, even on like an extreme angle like this, and they're not going to get flashed. I think maybe if he's back here, looking like that, he's going to get flashed. Well, maybe a little further back. But obviously, you can't be looking this way. Other than that, our guys, you can even throw 2 of them in a row, so they keep popping above their heads, and our guys should be benefiting from that. All right, so moving on to Mollies. I'll be along this wall here, slide along until I can see a little bit of this porch somewhere around here. I'm going to aim at the bottom middle of this gray stuff on the wall there, somewhere around there. Just run forward a little bit and jump throw one over top of the barrels here. And sometimes it'll spread over here. Most of the time it will, sometimes it won't. But it always looks pretty nice like that. Do it from here in front of this mailbox. Come here, you slide forward until you can just see like the edge of the window. That's the positioning I'm going for here. And then I'm aiming, you see this dark spot on the wall here between the window and the flowers. Aiming around there. And that's for the Molly. For the Nade, I'll aim right about here. Between this little hump on the shadow and the stone for the garden behind it. So, and maybe slightly offset to the left just to be safe. All right, so I'll do the Molly first. You could throw earlier than that because you don't need to expose yourself, but that's fine. And same thing with the Nade. You can throw it early enough that you don't have to expose yourself. There's no point. Chuck a little damage towards the barrels. And I can do one over here too, in this corner, by aiming up along the back side of this rafter up to the valley of the shingles above it. Then you run forward and jump throw after I cross this first wire here, but before I get to the bottom of that wood below the roof. So just like this. There's a lot of room for error there, so if you screw it up, it's your own fault. But look at that. I could release it a lot earlier than that or higher. And I love this placement here because it gets behind the barrels and around here too, which is great if we don't have amps control. And let's see. Oh, get back to here. Get back in that same position here, about like that. And I aim right at the top middle of this vertical piece of wood. And run forward and a jump throw about here. About midway between here and where I started. Not much further down than this though, otherwise you hit the roof and that's embarrassing. But that's nice and easy. Much easier than it looks. As long as you position properly anyway. Oh, speaking of easier than it looks, you can from here at ramp, you come here where you can just barely see a little bit of the pallet, and line yourself up like that. And then I aim right about here at this part of the roof, bottom of that crack, and run forward and jump throw at the very last second. And as long as you're positioned correctly, it's really easy. Way easier on 128 because that lineup is so much easier than it was in 64. Yeah, that's a lot of fun, that throw right there. Yeah, I think that's it. I forgot there's one more flash I can throw just like this right here. I'll show it in a second, but it's basically the same as this other flash I threw up here. It's basically the equivalent of that, but it's a little bit easier to line up because you don't have to aim all the way up there. I see a little marble on the wall here that I'm circling, a little swirl in the middle. And off to the right of it, there's a little dot and then a gray spot with a black dot. Anywhere in that area, just no higher than the dot is perfect. A jump throw, and it just does basically the same thing. So it's great.